welcome to section 5 of unit 5 of international procurement. Today we'll be looking at managing price volatility in international procurement. By the end of this section, you should be able to explain the term price volatility and then explain the ways of managing price volatility. Almost every organization is exposed to financial risk stemming from price volatility. So risk exposure may be direct from the price paid for raw materials transformed into products sold to customers, or it may be indirect from a higher energy and transportation costs. Price volatility affects a number of strategic decisions, including product design, including the and development, including the product itself or the prices of the product, and then inventory management, negotiations, contracting, and managing supplier relationships. So the price and how volatile it may be at every point in the supply chain or at every point in time could have an adverse effect on the business. So supply chain management, which serves the critical role of managing product flow, finance and information flow within and among firms. So price volatility causes uncertainty in the cost of acquisition of an input. So this in turn causes uncertainty in a margin to be generated for a finished good using that input. So price volatility also positively or negatively affect the product cost structure of an organization's supplier. So some strategies to manage price volatility. So price volatility in itself could be an increase or a decrease. That's why we got to know that there's a positive or a negative impact of changes in price that could affect the any activity of the supply chain. So re-examining the supplier contract. So if you want to check for or some strategies that's used to um, manage price volatility, one of them is to re-examine the supplier contract. Maybe you have given a supplier contract and then the amount stated or some terms of the contract is some way somehow affecting price. You may have to re-examine some of these contracts. Again, re-evaluate sales contracts. So fixed long-term price contracts with customers, especially 1 year and longer, can generate substantial losses if raw materials cost rises during that time. So you have to again re-evaluate the sales contract. So that's to say if you have entered into some fixed long-term agreements with the supplier, especially on price, then you see if there are increases in materials in quarterly or let's say in a short while, it may affect your pricing system and hence your price volatility. Again, make it yourself. Instead of buying, it is appropriate to make it yourself if you could produce it yourself without purchasing or probably outsourcing that activity in the supply chain. That could also help steam or help manage price volatility in the supply chain. Also, you have to find alternative sources of materials. So let's say if it is a material you use that is expensive, it is better to find an alternative source of that material so that you may want to cut down cost in regard to supply chain activities. In come to implementing financial hedging. So we already know and anticipate that these risk of volatility may happen. So it is up to organizations to implement some financial hedging strategies that could help hedge the risk of volatility. So when price volatility risk persists, companies can often mitigate residual risk that's through the direct hedging on the underlying commodities. For example, by purchasing futures or calls that give the firm the option of purchasing the raw material at a current price well into the future. So all of these are some strategies you may want to use to hedge um, the price. So there are also some alternative strategies to manage the price volatility as suggested by Forbes Finance Council. So as the other one, the previous ones was suggested by ICIS. This one is also suggested by Forbes Finance. So one is to forecast fluctuations. So to hedge or to manage price volatility, it is best you forecast fluctuations. So if you are able to forecast the fluctuation, okay, these things could happen, these could happen, then you could be able to make up some um, um, you could make up some strategies, or yes, you could bring out some um, things in place that could help foster against the price volatility. So the first and foremost, the business must forecast the financial implication of possible price fluctuations. Afterwards, negotiate with the supplier to hedge against these fluctuations or these fluctuating prices. Again, you use blockchain-based solutions. So retail businesses are plagued by friction introduced through middlemen. So blockchain-based technologies hold the promise to address these inefficiencies in four key areas. So supply chain management, auditing transactions, lowering credit card fees, and customer management. So all of these are ways in which you can also reduce, or yes, alternative ways you can manage price volatility by eliminating middlemen and using blockchain-based solutions for your pricing and other business activities of the supply chain. Again, you hedge against volatile prices. So just as the previous management strategy by ICIS suggested, the Forbes Finance also suggested the hedging strategy where you hedge against changes in price. So one of the things that can be done to hedge against volatile and unpredictable changes in commodity prices is to have a hedging plan. So for any business that buys or sells commodity like metals, liquid or agricultural products, the CFO should look into hedging practices via future contracts and options. So as we mentioned earlier with buying futures and all that. Yeah, we also hedge against volatile prices. Then the next point is cut costs by buying in bulk. Yes. So unlike the other point that talked about making it instead of buying, here there's also a strategy of cutting down costs by buying in bulk. You already know that if you buy in bulk, I mean whether there are tariffs on or whatever that may be on the product, or whatever tax that may be on, or whatever the tariff that may be on the product. If you buy in bulk, it is always better to buy in pieces. So that one could also help cut down costs. Then lock in rates with your suppliers. By locking in rates with your suppliers, the tariffs being contemplated by the US and its trading partners have the potential to significantly impact wide swaths of the economy. If you enjoy good relationship with your suppliers, consider negotiating with them to lock in prices for fixed periods. So just as you can always lock in rates with your suppliers, um, by building relationship with them. If you have that form of relationship with suppliers, you can always lock in um, pricing rates or rates of fixed periods. So you can say that okay, for this thing, let me buy one at let's say 10 cedis over this period. Then you agree on some fixed long-term agreement. Again, don't absorb a cost increase. I mean, when there's a cost increase in something with your supplier, you agreed to um make a purchase, or you agree to purchase this thing, and then you have agreed on price, and there's like a slight increase in price, then you're like, okay, don't worry, we will absorb that cost. Don't absorb cost increases. If you want to hedge against price volatility, if you want to manage price volatility, you don't have to accept cost increases. So in this section, we looked at the term price volatility and the way of managing price volatility. Thank you, and see you in the final section.